Hey there, friends. Good morning. I hope you're doing well today. I hope you are healthy and strong. I hope that you are finding ways to be able to be the church. Right now, in a time when we can't necessarily go to church, a lot of us. So that's what this online page here is for. We don't want to lose contact. We don't want to give up meeting. It's just kind of a different way of being able to meet, being able to connect, being able to grow together. And so that's what we're doing for these next couple of weeks here. In Armory Teens services, we have been talking about this concept of doubt. And sometimes the tendency is to run away from doubt, to pretend that it's not there, to hope that it'll go away if we just ignore it long enough. But really the scriptural perspective on that is that when we bring our doubts to God, we end up with a faith that ends up being stronger. Christianity is not this faith that you just have to check your brain at the door and take it blindly. God has given us reason and intellect and the ability to think and to grow through that and to grow closer to Him through that and to each other. So throughout the week here, I'm going to be putting up some videos like this to be able to help you kind of further this study. It's kind of a neat opportunity, really, whereas we don't have as much time in person to be able to go as deep as we're going to be able to go these next couple of weeks. But I'm hoping every day to post some kind of a snippet of information. More than that, though, really just something for you to be able to think about, to be able to hopefully strengthen and grow you, and continue maybe even stronger than you've been before, even in this very tough and trying time. So this first couple of videos we're putting out are very appropriate to the times that we're facing. This past weekend, we looked at the story of Job. I didn't plan it that way. It's been mapped out that we were going to be talking about Job for about 6 months now. So it's kind of funny that this is what story we've come across. But what's cool about the story of Job is that we see a person who doubts God in the middle of some very trying times. And we also see some people who are well-intentioned, who give very bad advice and try to comfort in a way that is not at all comforting. So all that stuff is tied in with what we're going through together right now as a community. And so I'm excited about that. So today's video has just been a chance to let you know what the plan is for these next couple of weeks, kind of introduce what we're going to be looking at, what we're going to be doing. And at the end of this, I'm going to attach a video to this file from a YouTube channel called The Bible Project. Now, if you don't know about The Bible Project, I would highly recommend that you subscribe to that channel. It's basically just little snippets of information. They take books of the Bible and they condense them into very understandable, very visually appealing. I'm a very visual person, so it makes sense to me. And I think it makes sense to a lot of you too. So as you have a lot of time, feel free to check that page out too. But the video I'm going to be posting, in addition to this one, it's coming up in just a few seconds, is about the book of Job and about the story of Job's life and the lessons that he's learned. In the next couple of days, we'll kind of unpack what that means, what that looks like, what that even means for us today in this world, in this situation, as we deal with the pandemic that is facing all of us and affecting all of our lives. So I'm glad to be able to connect with you. Feel free to reach out if you need help, if you have questions, if you have a suggestion of what might be helpful for you guys in terms of these videos and in terms of some topics. We have several planned out, but I'd love to hear back from you to be able to interact as much as we can. So without further ado, here's the story of Job.
So Job begins with a strange story that takes place up in the heavens, which are described something like a heavenly command center. So God is there with these angelic creatures called the sons of God, and they're all there reporting for duty.
And God points out this guy Job, his servant, showing how righteous and good he is.
And then one of these angelic creatures approaches. He's referred to in Hebrew as the Satan.
The Satan. Who is this?
Well, this word is actually a title, which literally means the one who is opposed. So out of this whole crew, he is the one questioning how God is running the world. And he proposes that Job might not actually love God, that he's only a good person because God rewards him. If God were to take away all of the good things he gave to Job, then we would see his true colors.
So he thinks Job is just working the system?
That's exactly right. Maybe he's obeying just to get what he wants.
So God agrees to this experiment and allows the Satan to inflict suffering on Job.
And Job loses everyone and everything that he cares about. It is devastating. And remember, he deserves none of this. God himself said so.
The remarkable thing is that in the midst of all this suffering, Job still praises God.
At least for chapters 1 and 2. But then in chapter 3, we find out how he's really feeling inside. He unleashes this poem that reveals this devastation. It's a long, elaborate curse on the day that he was born.
After this, some of Job's friends come to visit him to offer their help. And all of them are like, Job, you must have done something horribly wrong to deserve this. After all, we know God is just, and we know the world is ordered by God's justice and fairness, so you must be getting what you deserve.
And for the next 34 chapters, the friends and Job go back and forth in very dense Hebrew poetry. His friends keep speculating about why God might have sent such suffering, and they even start making up lists of hypothetical sins that Job must have committed. But after each accusation, Job defends his innocence.
And Job is innocent.
He is. He's also on an emotional roller coaster. At some moments, he's very confident that God is still wise and just.
Yeah, in other moments, he's doubting God's goodness.
He even comes to accuse God of being reckless, unfair, and corrupt. So by the end of the dialogues, Job demands that God come and explain himself in person, and God does so. He comes in the form of a great storm cloud.
Now, God doesn't give Job a direct answer. He doesn't tell Job about the conversation with the Satan.
Yeah, he does something very different. He takes Job on a virtual tour of the universe. He shows Job how grand the world is, and he asks him if he's even capable of running it or understanding it, just for a day. He shows Job how much detail there is in the world, things that we might see every day, but really don't understand at all. But God does. He knows it all intimately. He pays attention to the beauty and operations of the universe in ways that we haven't even imagined and in places that we will never see.
Then to conclude, God shows Job two wondrous beasts and brags about how great they are.
Yeah, they are dangerous. I mean, they would kill you without even thinking about it. And God says they're not evil. They're actually a part of his good world.
And then that's it. That's God's whole defense. It's kind of weird. I mean, what was this all about?
It seems to be this. From Job's point of view, it looks like God is not just. But God's perspective is infinitely bigger. He's dynamically interacting with a whole universe of complexity when he makes decisions. And this is what God calls his wisdom.
So Job asking God to defend himself is actually kind of absurd.
He couldn't comprehend this kind of complexity even if he wanted to.
So where does this leave us?
Well, it leaves Job in a place of humility. He never learned why he suffered, and yet he's able to live in peace and in the fear of the Lord.
But that's not where the book ends, because after this, God restores to Job double everything he had lost. And this, again, is surprising. I mean, is this a reward? Is God saying, congratulations, Job, you passed this elaborate test?
No, I mean, the whole book just made the point that Job losing everything was not a punishment, and so now getting it back isn't a reward.
So why does he get it back?
Well, apparently, God, in his wisdom, decided to give Job a gift. We don't know why. But what we do know is that Job is now the kind of person who, no matter what comes, good or bad, he can trust God's wisdom.
And that's the book of Job.